Cheers and welcome to Irondale Brewing. It's already time, believe it or not, for the 2025 Brewtubers Experiment Brew. This year we have the highest number of participants in the history of the Experiment Brew, from what I understand, which is very cool to see all the activity going on in Brewtubers these days. And if you're not familiar with how the process works, basically the people who choose to participate in the experiment, we all brew the same beer with one variable. Let's put it that way. So last year we did an American wheat with strawberry, and everybody added the strawberry in different ways. I used powder that was horrible. Other people had way better luck with puree and whole fruit. And I think Rec Brewery did, I think that was who it was, did the strawberry bonbon candies. So it was a great way to kind of learn without having to brew, 10 or 12 beers yourself, how different strawberry additions work in the context of an American wheat beer. This year, the Experiment Brew is an American Amber Ale. And the variable is everybody starts with the same base recipe, and everybody adds one additional grain to the base recipe in the context of the Amber Ale. So, for example, I'm using Simpsons Amber Malt. I'd never used Amber Malt before. I don't know if the name Amber has to do with amber necessarily. They don't list it. I'll talk about that in a second as one of the styles, but we'll see how it works. And then other people are using Red X and various other things that I'll leave to the tastings that we do later. To talk about the various grains that people added. So it's just, again, this is going to be a great way to really get a sense of, hey, here's an Amber Ale with Red X versus, Amber Malt versus whatever, without having, again, to brew a dozen beers yourself to get a sense of how these grains work. So I chose Amber Ale mostly just because I'd never used it before and because of the name. But oddly enough, if you read the stats, basically it says it's a truly versatile biscuity roasted malt, and this is Simpsons Amber Malt specifically. The beer styles they say this works with are California Common, Stout and Extra Stout, Export, Best Bitter, Dark Lager, Fuller's 1845 they list specifically, flavor, dry, and biscuit. Usage is 5 to 20%. So I want to talk about that for a second. I decided that I'm going to push the envelope a little bit and risk it maybe being a little bit off for an Amber Ale to make sure that character of the Amber Malt comes out in the final result, because I didn't want to end up with a beer where they're like, yeah, this tastes like a decent Amber Ale, but I don't know exactly what the Amber Malt is contributing. So this may turn out to be like, I don't know if the final beer is going to be as good as it could be otherwise, but I went with 12.6%, so that's kind of like in the mid of that 5 to 20%. Hopefully it'll be enough that you can say, okay, I can really tell what that Amber Malt is doing, to get a sense of, kind of how it works in a beer. But they do say on the Simpsons website, it's the most versatile of all our roasted products, can be used in a wide variety of beers to add biscuity, toasted notes, and a beautiful brown hue. So, that seemed like it would fit with an Amber Ale. Delicate roast flavor, make it suitable for adding toasty notes to all dark beers, as well as lighter ales and lagers. So, we'll see. And you'll see I'm not going to do like a pour of it, so you won't see it in the glass. Because I don't want to kind of get ahead of myself with the tastings. But you'll see it in the, you'll see it in the fermenter and see what it kind of looks like in that context. But anyway, that's the malt I chose as the variable for mine. I get into the details of the rest of the recipe in the brew day footage, so I won't go into that right now. But yeah, we'll have tastings. I think the deadline to send things around is kind of late-ish July, and then kind of starting in August through the end of the year, we each do tastings for each of the individual beers and kind of rate them, which I didn't do last year because that was the first time I'd done it. But you're supposed to kind of keep track of your favorites. Hard to do over time. If you're tasting beers next to each other, it's easy to say, rank them 1, 2, 3 or whatever. So what I'm going to try to do is hopefully just kind of keep track of things as best I can in terms of, as you taste each one, is it better or worse than the one you had before, sort of deal. And last year, at least, I did mine in pretty rapid succession, which makes it a little bit easier. But we'll see. It's a fun experiment. It's a great thing to get to taste each other's beers in the context of the experiment. And people always get creative with the labels and so on. So if this sounds fun, hope you watch the rest of this video and you can stay tuned for the tastings as those come online. And let's see, what else did I want to say? Yeah, I think that's about it for right now. So we'll just go into some brew day footage. And like I said, stay tuned for more about the experiment beers and all the tastings coming up.
All right, getting started with our brew day here, bringing things up to our mash temp of 154. And I'm using Brewzilla profiles. If you haven't tried those, I really encourage you to check that out if you have Brewzilla. I really think it's a great way to kind of take some of the concerns out of the brew day, because everything's preset, ready to go for you. And you can see here, once it hits the temp of 154, it'll drop the power down and basically say press up or down to end the current step and go on to the next step, which is when I mash in, and then after that we'll go on to the actual timing of the mash. So here I am getting mashed in. Nothing too exciting here. Just the usual process of dumping it in a little bit at a time, getting it all mixed in. And a special thank you to Nick from Exit 12 and Kurt from Fermentation Adventures for coming up with this recipe. It's looking like a really good base recipe for an amber ale. Grain bill is 68.2% Northeast Gold 2-row from Stone Path Malting, 12.6% amber malt from Simpsons, which is my variable. So we'll see other people's grain other than the first and the last three are the standard for everybody, and then the second one's my variable. And then 8.6% Caramel 60, 8.6 Northeast Munich from Stone Path, and 2% Victory Malt. So that should make for a nice amber ale, and I'm really curious to see what that amber malt does. And I also want to give a special shout out to Beer and Wine Hobby, a good Brewtuber sponsor. I love ordering the exact amount of grains I need, and I do mean exact, down to the, I think, 10th of an ounce, 100th of an ounce, something like that. So you just get a bag with all your grains, and you don't have to weigh anything. You don't end up with extras. You just dump the bag in your mill things out, and you're up and running. In terms of the hops, we're going with Magnum at 60 minutes for 25 IBU, Willamette at 30 minutes for 6 IBU, Cascade at 10 minutes for 2 IBU, for a total IBU of 33, which is kind of right in the middle for amber ale. So again, I'm excited about this one. I think it's going to come out great. For the fermentation, we're using Lallemand BRY 97. Excellent yeast. I use it quite a bit. Always have good results with it. Doing 10 days at 67 degrees Fahrenheit, 1 day short diacetyl rest at 72, 3 days at 40 for cold crash, and 14 days of conditioning. And again, everybody's following the same fermentation profile, using the same yeast, the whole thing across the board to keep things as consistent as we can across all the brewers participating in the experiment. And then for the targets, what I'm shooting for is an OG of 1055, final gravity of 1012, and ABV of 5.6. A little bit of a spoiler. I don't quite hit those numbers, but came pretty close, so we'll see that when we get to the end. I think here's just me, a little bit more footage of getting things mashed in. I got the thermometer going, and this is after, if I remember correctly, once I get things kind of in there and set at a temperature, I let it sit for about 10 or 15 minutes just to rest, and then get the Bluetooth thermometer going to get the actual mash process going. I think next I probably attach the recirculation arm and start the recirculation process, and then start the mash timer. And this is just the Brewzilla doing its thing, holding its temperature darn steady. And I'm using that Sergeant Sparge head again here, and it's just I can't remember how many batches I've done on this system so far, but really loving it. All right, here's a little footage of the actual recirculation process, again using the Sergeant Sparge head. I think that thing does a pretty good job. I have used it a few times now, and I have stopped stirring during the mash, which I used to kind of just use the open hose, and stir. I have found them getting slightly lower efficiency. Not sure if that's related to that use of that Sparge head or not, but
I didn't take much brew day footage. It was a pretty uneventful brew day. I think I have a couple of clips of mashing, easy hop schedule. This is it smelled absolutely amazing. I don't know if that's the amber malt or just the smell of beer, but it smelled amazing. But we're chilling down. Whirlpool while I chill down, and then we'll get it in the fermenter sanitizing,
chilling down pretty quickly, which is awesome. And that's it. This was a very delightfully boring brew day. Temperatures were stable. Didn't have to mess with too much. I still love the Brewzilla profiles. Not much to say, so that's why I didn't spend much time filming it. One of these days I should probably just do a full brew day with everything that I do, so y'all can tell me when I'm doing wrong or give me some ideas on how to do stuff better. But I think that's pretty much it for today. We're just going to chill down and get it in the fermenter. Got it chilled down to 67. Going in the ferment. And it's looking not bad already. I think that whirlpool helps clear things up a little bit too. And that should give it plenty of oxygenation, even though with dry yeast they say, who cares? It can't hurt. It's a convenient way to get it out of the Brewzilla. So that's what I do. So soon we'll be taking a gravity reading and pitching to BRY 97. And there we are in the fermenter. Just using an airlock on this one because we are not doing pressure. Oh, sorry, angle's weird. And did have the gas post on there, so at least I can apply a little bit of gas at the end to keep suck back from occurring. Got the pill in there, got everything rolling, and even have... Let's see if I can do this one-handed. Maybe not. All right, and here we are in the fermenter. Well, this is the temperature controller. Got the profile going. Chilled down to 67. This thing thinks it's 72 once I got everything put together. So it's chilling down a little bit. But yeah, still, I think the profiles are really slick. You can see next 10 days at the end there, it's going to automatically ramp up for a short diacetyl rest, then it'll automatically go down to the cold crash, which is pretty cool, not to have to worry about that stuff. This is about 30 hours post-pitch. Quite a lot of activity in the airlock. It's about 25% done according to the pill. So yeah, it's coming along nicely. I'm liking the color. I mean, you can't really tell exactly what it's going to look like, kind of when it's early in fermentation, but I think that's going to come out a nice solid amber. It'll of course clear up quite a lot. And as part of the experiment, we are all doing gelatin in the keg, which will help. I normally probably wouldn't do gelatin on amber, but hey, we'll keep everything in line with the experiment. But yeah, it's coming along nicely, and the brewery still smells amazing from the brew day yesterday. That mix of malts just smells absolutely bready and malty and fantastic. So this is about 72 hours after pitch, and the amount it has cleared up, and so they last looked at it like yesterday, is pretty crazy. I just came to check on the pill. I think it's kind of lodged against the side there, so I tipped it a little bit to try to get it to move. Don't want to disturb it too much. But yeah, I think it's the primary fermentation is definitely getting close to the end there. It's according to Brewfather, it's like 90% done. But that is just the amount it's cleared up since I looked at it yesterday is just crazy. I think I like where the color is going. That is one of the things that was going to be a variable of the experiment beer was, how much color you're going to get out of the additional malt that you put in the base recipe that we're using for this amber ale. And I kind of like that. I was a little bit afraid I was using too much of the amber at a pretty high percentage, at 12.5% or so. But yeah, and it'll probably lighten up a little bit as it finishes fermentation and through the rest of the process to get it into the keg. But I'm liking it so far.
All right, we have come to kegging day for the 2025 Brewtubers Experiment Beer, which is an amber ale. This is the point at which I need to solve my problem of not having the floating dip tube in the fermenter because I forgot to put it in there because I am an idiot. So what I'm planning to do is I'm just going to loosen the lid. In fact, I may take this thing off first. I got to take one of the gas posts off, obviously, and then put the liquid post and the floating dip tube in there. And the problem is the floating dip tube filter and ball float doesn't go through there. So I need to loosen the lid, pop that thing off of there, slip it in there as gently as I can. It's all sanitized and everything. Sometimes that bottom lid is a little bit difficult to get off, so I have a little screwdriver to pry that off, but hopefully this won't be too bad. In fact, I think I'll just get the main ring off first. Because at least with this flat lid, you can take that off. On the pressure lid, the things, since there's more stuff going on, they flare out a little bit and you can't get that thing off of there. Okay, so let's see. I guess I'll just do this first. I think this will be the least disruptive to the overall. I think they make a little tool for this, but I always just use a little tiny screwdriver because sometimes this thing does not want to come off very easily. But if you just get under there just a little bit and get it going. And I'm just going to try to get it loose, but leave it on there. Again, to reduce the amount of possible oxygen ingress as much as possible. And I hope my head's getting cut off because otherwise you're seeing bedhead, but I guess that's the way it goes. This is the window in which I had to keg the beer. All right. I can feel that. No, not quite. If anybody has any tips on how to make this a little bit smoother, that would be great too. It's not a huge pain, but I do feel like I'm dinging the plastic around the lip of the Firmzilla doing it this way, but that's how it has worked for me. Okay, I got off of there. It wasn't as gentle as I would have liked, but it's loose. I'm leaving it on there to hopefully, keep things as still as I can. Then I think I'm going to just unscrew this thing. So at this point we're open. We'll try to work as quickly as we can. I've got my floating dip tube and liquid post ready to go and sanitize. So we'll just get it in there. Get it snaked back through here. Attach it to the liquid post. Get that screwed on there. Okay. Get that back on there and then I'll purge it a little bit. I am going to put this back on here just to secure it. Again, this is not ideal, but that, you do what you got to do when you're facing a screw up, right? So, okay, so that all is good. Get that thing on there nice and tight. And then we'll get some gas on there and I'll just purge it a little bit. Okay, and then I'll re-sanitize since I once again touched the liquid post there, and then I've got my jumper line all ready to go and sanitized. And this is just the usual. I've got my purge keg. We are using gelatin. So I've got the keg off camera. It's hard to get. If I put it in an angle where you can see everything would be tiny, but I don't know. I think, at least my thinking is you want to see the beer probably more than you want to see anything else. So at this point we have a little bit of pressure on here probably. Yeah. But not much. According to that gauge, it's like 2, which is good. You want this to be nice and slow. So I'm just going to hook up the jumper line to the keg outpost. Again, you want to go in through the outpost when you're doing this. And then I have a blow-off tube going into a bucket of Star San. Yeah, I think we're ready to go. So we'll just hook this up. And hopefully we see some beer flowing. And we do. And I'll just keep an eye on the pressure and make sure it doesn't get too high or low. And you may see, let me look here. You may see off to the side there, it's a batch of, one of those flash brewing kits, the Cali Mountain flash brewing kit. All right, that's flowing. Fingers crossed the, last minute addition of the dip tube on the fly there isn't going to, I can't imagine it's going to make or break the beer. I, was as careful as I could be given the fact that I didn't put it on there to begin with, and that's the way it goes. So I think we'll just let this flow. Try to speed this up, but that's about all there is to say about the kegging. Coming through the line, I don't know how you can see that. The color is pretty nice. Obviously when it's in mass in the fermenter, it always looks darker than it's going to look in a glass. But I am encouraged by what I'm seeing coming through the line, that I didn't go too far with that amber malt. As you can see in the fermenter, it's nice and it's a dark brown in that vessel with that volume of liquid in that space. But yeah, going through the line, that is looking like it's going to come out a nice amber. We'll see what it looks like in the glass. I might even have wanted it a little bit darker, but yeah, that's part of the fun of the experiment. We'll see how this goes. Okay, we're going to call it there. Leave a little bit in there to not get too greedy. Keg was looking pretty full based on the chill line on the side. And, you don't want to get every ounce out of there necessarily, so you don't get too much junk. Filter helps, obviously, but, once you see it kind of pooling in the bottom and you got maybe half a pint left, at least for me, that's a good time to stop. Cold crashing definitely keeps things packed such that, I probably could have gone a little bit more and still not gotten any of the trub in there, but better to get a slightly smaller amount of better beer than go for broke. So yeah, that's it. Now I have to clean up, the fun part. But I'm anxious to try this. We're going to have to stop the video here because the tastings come later, but we will definitely keep you posted on how mine and everybody else's went. It'll be fun to see how the variation of an additional grain impacts an American Amber Ale.